With both the surprisingly great Mad Max and pretty decent Just Cause 4 games under their belt, I was looking forward to Avalanche Studios' take on a story-driven shooter. How they managed to create an interesting premise and yet still accompany it with a boring world to explore is beyond me though. Generation Zero takes place in Sweden after World War II. Coming out of the war, Sweden invested most of its resources into building a robotic defense force to protect its people, should anything like the war happen again. You play as a kid who, along with their classmates, have been secluded from the world for quite some time now. Without any real knowledge of what's been going on, you and your friends sail around on a boat near the Swedish shore and quickly get attacked by missiles. Miraculously, you survive and wind up on the shore where something seems off. With every house in the area empty, something definitely went down here and it's up to you to find out. However, Sweden's absurdly powerful defense force doesn't make it easy. These robots are pretty much the Boston Dynamic robots as a video game. While trying to both avoid and destroy them, you have to search for clues that then become mission objectives, and you piece together what happened here through environmental storytelling. While games like Firewatch and What Remains of Edith Finch have successfully shown how a game can make use of environmental storytelling, Generation Zero really lacks the skill. The opening scroll story explanation sounds cool. I wish I could have seen a glimpse of it. The explosion opening that's described is completely absent and we just sort of get washed up on shore. Exploring the world looking for clues feels empty, and with it comes bad pacing. Generation Zero did a good job at creating an elevator pitch for this game's story, but when I finally decided to start playing, it was made apparent early on just how badly it was executed. Upon getting the quick introduction to the world's story, we're sort of just thrust into the open world without any real context. Exploring the world, it seems like everyone was just here. Some TVs are on, dinner tables are set. It's apparent that whatever happened to these people wasn't planned. It's with that you're left to wander the world and figure it out. Across the open world are cars and houses that have just been abandoned. You're supposed to loot them and find anything worth keeping. It's not a safe world though. Scattered throughout the world are these Boston Dynamic-like robots just waiting to hunt you down. They're tough foes, but luckily for you, you can co-op with other players online to take them down. You'll need to too, because for some reason, the difficulty of enemies doesn't balance out based on your squad size. That means if you decide to play alone, you're going to feel like you're at a severe disadvantage in terms of difficulty in a world that's arguably very boring to explore. The way you learn about the story and earn your missions is simply by searching the world for notes and clues. The big problem with these missions is that they're just boring. Most have you just going to a specific house to loot, which I'm already doing anyway, so it becomes a large repetition. Ultimately, this leads to several moments of padding throughout the story, in a story that already feels slow-paced. That's added padding to padding. And on top of everything, a clumsy inventory system with a clunky UI design that feels like the bad cherry on top. For a lot of what Generation Zero fails at doing, what it does do right is making a pretty looking game. While the world map may look like Erangel from PUBG, it's a damn good looking one. A dynamic weather system keeps the world feeling somewhat lively even when it's so empty. It's oddly interesting because you get elements of beauty with the sense of eeriness just because everyone is missing. Character animations range from scary looking robots that accurately mimic the movement out of something from a Black Mirror episode, to the odd spasms when your character dies. I've even had issues with my character getting stuck when on the run from these robots, pretty much leaving me helpless. As far as performance goes, I wasn't able to test out the console versions in time for this review, but I did get my review copy on PC. Running a GTX 1070 with an i7 4790K, I was pretty much able to run this game on ultra settings and maintain a 1080p 60fps picture. So on that note, I can at least say that Generation Zero runs and looks great, even if I can't say the same about the gameplay or the UI. When it comes to the audio front, Generation Zero does a pretty good job at designing the little things. Like the steps of your boots running through the forest, there's little iterations of stepping on the grass, mud, and the concrete. In a world that's pretty empty, the subtle sounds that are usually just the background sound even louder in this case. As for the music, it oddly enough kind of reminds me of a Blade Runner aesthetic. When wandering about the world, there's a chill drum bass vibe that's playing in the background. It complements the eerie tones of exploration. However, that quickly changes to a faster paced action track anytime a robot detects you. I'm more of a fan of the audio design than the music in this case, but it's certainly not bad by any means, just doesn't really stand out. Generation Zero feels like an early access game that ran out of development budget and then was forced to release to turn a profit. There are some cool ideas here, but they're so shallow in comparison to the amount of empty and just uninteresting space that you're forced to explore to find these interesting bits. Gameplay feels unbalanced thanks to the odd choice of not balancing the difficulty to the size of your squad, making this one incredibly difficult to manage game playing solo. Keep in mind that's coming from a game reviewer off the heels of beating Sekiro's Shadows Die Twice. Ultimately, Generation Zero is nothing but a pretty looking first person view of what looks like PUBG's base map, with some interesting story details buried under so much boring navigation.